Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rena. I am a knitter based in Norway. Here we talk about mostly knitting and sometimes occasionally sewing. Today I have a packed episode with 4 finished objects and then a quick roundup of what is currently on my needles. Also, a few weeks ago I traveled to Copenhagen and then finally got to visit the Knitwear Olive shop in person. Later in the video I will share some clips from that trip and then show you the yarn that I brought home. To my returning viewers, thank you for coming back, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. So without further ado, let's start with my finished objects. My first finished object is the Rilo Zip Vest. This is a brand new acquisition, a new cast on, and then already a finished object since my last episode. This was a knit along with a friend. She recommended this pattern, and then when I saw it, I was hooked immediately. It has such a fun, interesting design that looks almost like a store-bought piece. Regarding the design, this is a collaboration between the knitwear designer Veronica Løken and then the online yarn shop Garnius. The pattern is available only in Norwegian on the Garnius website as a knit kit, so you do have to buy the suggested yarn with it. This is a children pattern for ages 1 to 10, and then I knit the 2-year-old for my daughter. It's a one-page pattern, isn't very detailed, and it definitely doesn't hold your hand. For example, it tells you to decrease on the sides, but doesn't specify exactly which method to use. Regarding the construction, it is bottom up, where the front and the back are knitted flat separately and sewn at the end. The armholes and hem stitches are picked up to knit the edges, and then the collar is finished the similar way before sewing in the zipper. This was a new type of construction for me, and then I had a lot of fun with it. The pattern recommended 5mm needle, and I cast on with 5.5mm, and then it just flew off the needles. Now talking about the yarn, the kit uses a Merino Stay and a Merino Boucle. Both are Garnius in-house brand. I'll be honest, I wasn't thrilled about being forced to buy this yarn, as I prefer all natural fibers. So to give you a little bit more detail about these 2 different types of yarn, for the Merino Stay, it's 40% of alpaca, 40% of merino, and then 20% of nylon. For the Merino Boucle, it's 64% of acrylic, 21% of wool, and 15% of polyester. But on a positive note, they have a really great color range. I actually played around with an app on my phone to test the different color combinations instead of using the recommended colors. I went with burgundy, green, and off-white. The burgundy match isn't perfect. The merino leans purple, while boucle leans a bit brown. I probably should have chosen a true brown wool to match the base of the boucle. But I wasn't the only one working on this. As I mentioned, this was a knit along with a friend, and she finished one for her son as well. The vest looks so amazing in her color combination. It's interesting to see how a design changes just by swapping the palette. Sharing our progress regularly adds so much joy to this project. Regarding the process and then some finishing details, so I did find one mistake for the size 2-year-old when it comes to the front separation, but it was a really easy mistake to spot in the pattern and then fix it. For the finishing, I used a mattress stitch for the side seams and then sewed the shoulders together with right sides facing. One modification I made is I knit down the edges while binding off instead of sewing them down afterward. The zipper finish isn't quite as clean as PetiteKnit's design since there is no internal facing to hide the zipper tape. But I'm not bothered by it. She'll grow out of it quickly, so it doesn't need to be an heirloom piece. Now I have some leftover yarn from this project that I'm not sure what to do with. Does anyone have any recommendations, like a hat or stuffed animals? Yeah, I'm still looking into it. So I think that's all I have to share about this Rilo Zip Vest by Veronica Løken. My next finished object is my pair of pink Crocus mittens. These are traditional Latvian colorwork mittens that I wanted to make for myself for quite a while. In my last episode, I have actually finished one of the mittens, so I did a deep dive into that one. So if you missed the details, you can catch up in that episode. And today is all about the finish line. But I would say finishing the second mitten was quite a different experience. To be honest, it was quite a lesson in procrastination. I knew deep down that they wouldn't fit me perfectly, they're actually a bit small for me. So I actually had to put myself on a cast-on band to be able to finish this pair of mittens. They became my only whip for a while, and then it was the only way that I can finish the cross line for this project. The first thing I noticed is that, interestingly, my tension shifted on the second mitten. I started knitting much looser for some reason. I'm hoping it's not too noticeable to the naked eye, but as the knitter, I definitely felt the difference. What do you think? Can you see the difference, or is it just my knitter's paranoia? When it came time to finish, I was actually terrified that green and the pink yarn would bleed into the white. So I played safe, I skipped the sink and then just did the steam blocking with my iron. I think it worked beautifully and then kept the color crisp. For those curious about the final weight, it came out about 54 grams. I used less than 10 grams for each pink and the green yarn, the rest was the white yarn. Even though they aren't perfect fit for me, they turn out lovely. They actually feel like a little piece of artwork, and then I can't wait for my daughter to grow into them one day. My next two finished objects are actually Sophie Scarves by PetiteKnit. I don't have them here with me to show you in person because they were gift knits and then they went to their new homes. But I did film some clips of me trying them on before I sent them off, so you can see the fit. This is such a famous, simple pattern that there isn't too much left to say about the construction. They were just lovely, super fast gift knits. I made some modification to the pattern to try to use up every bit of the skeins. For the first one, I increased until I had 3 more stitches than the size small. I only had around 3 grams left. For the second, I went up to until 4 stitches more than the size small and ended up with about 50 cm of yarn remaining. I used Sanduskarn cashmere in the color white 1002. It's incredibly soft, though a bit slippery on metal needles. So that was all about my finished objects. Before we move on to my travel clips, I'd like to do a quick roundup of what is currently on my needles. I've decided to change how I share my works in progress. From now on, I won't go deep into the technical details while a project is still midway. Instead, I'm keeping a detailed knitting diary behind the scenes. I want to wait until a project is fully finished before sharing the full story, like the yarn choice, pattern review, modification, mistakes, and the final takeaways all in one go. I personally find that this makes for a much more informative and a satisfying episode. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you prefer the deep dive reveal at the end, or do you like following the step-by-step struggle? For now, here is a little teaser of what is coming next. First, I'm working on the April cardigan by PetiteKnit. I'm making this for my mom using Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the color Plum. It's been a bit of a challenge, but I can't wait to show you the final result. Next, I have a pair of simple vanilla socks on the go. This is the I'm So Basic pattern by Summer Lee. I'm using Filcolana Arvetta, and then these have been my perfect mindless knit. And finally, I just cast on T number 1 by my favorite things Knitwear. I'm using Drops Baby Merino for this one, and I'm already loving how the fabric is looking. Hopefully this will become a finished object soon so that I can share the full journey with you. If you want to make sure you don't miss those reveals, please make sure you hit that subscribe button to follow along. That's all I have to share today about my finished objects and works in progress. I'm going to leave you now with some clips from my trip to Copenhagen and then look at the yarn that I bought from the Knitting for Olive shop. It was such a dream with it. I hope you will enjoy the video. We decided to take the cruise from Oslo to Copenhagen. We headed into the city early to soak up the atmosphere. But let's be real, eating out with a toddler is a rare luxury. Is it even possible for parents of an 18-month-old to sit down and enjoy a meal at the same time? We're still looking for the answer to that one. Knowing we had a 17-hour journey ahead, I was so excited to cast on a new project. The problem was that I only had metal needles and I didn't want to risk any trouble at the airport security on our flight back home. Luckily, we found a local shop just in time to snag some Chaogu bamboo needles. Crisis averted. This was our first time taking a cruise as a family, and the excitement was high. Our cabin was small, but the view through the window was perfect. And the sun was actually showing off for us that day. I'll admit I was optimistic. Trying to knit with a toddler running circles around the cabin was way harder than I anticipated. I chose a project with a technique I hadn't mastered yet, so most of my so-called knitting time was spent staring at the pattern in total confusion. As you can see, the struggle was very real. The travel cast on might have been a fail, but the destination was a total win. We arrived at Copenhagen. I'm in front of the Knitting for Olive shop. Let's go inside. I went in with a specific plan. I promised myself I wouldn't splurge on yarn that would sit in my stash forever. Being there in person, surrounded by all those textures, was the perfect way to end the trip.
At man skal ikke det, vi skal have.
We just finished shopping. I will show you what I got inside. I have 5 skeins of Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair, colorway red currant. And I have 4 skeins of Knitting for Olive merino, colorway pomegranate. I'm going to hold these two together to knit an April sweater by PetiteKnit.